Okay, hello everyone. So we earn over $1 million per year in dividends. We're back to over $1 million per year in dividends, and we're going to be discussing the ways to play a Bitcoin and hyper growth recovery. So we earn over $1 million per year in dividends, and you can see we're up 7,000 today, or 0.25%. The 0.25% is what I always say is what matters. The Nasdaq above is up 0.18%. So I've already done my moves for the day. I've alerted my members of my moves. Some of them will be discussed in today's video. We're up 25% for the year. The S&P is up 16% for the year. So we keep gaining in performance, even though we just had the ULTY reverse split. Everyone said that ULTY was going to ruin our account. It was going to ruin our dividends. It was going to change our available withdrawal. Look, our available withdrawal is still over 500,000. Yes, my account is 2 million, but our available withdrawal is over 500,000. So the ULTY split didn't change anything. And so I just want to hear once again, where are all those detractors of my videos now? Everyone said that I was going to lose everything because of the split, and ULTY just keeps going down and down. And no one understood that ULTY was comprised of Bitcoin names. So we're not talking about ULTY. We're not talking about MSTY or CONY. We're talking about the holdings of ULTY, not ULTY, the wrapper, the ETF, the holdings, you know, the names that ULTY owns, okay? If you go to ULTY's website, you can see all of their holdings, okay? And we'll get into all that in 1 second. So we're outperforming the markets. We're up 25% for the year once again. And we lead the FIRE movement here at my channel, which means financially independent, retire early. If you need help doing the same and getting this kind of outperformance using some margin, using some Yieldmax, and using other indexed dividend-paying funds, email me for my e-guides at akintodd48@gmail.com, or head to my website, Unconventional Wealth Ideas, where we're leading the FIRE movement. And I've also been letting y'all know that I'll be going on a trip to Costa Rica in a couple weeks. I'm really excited to share with y'all my learnings there. One of the fun that is taking me there, I don't want to say anything yet because I don't want to get in trouble, but I just don't want to get in trouble with, conflicting interest or saying the wrong things until they give me the okay. But one of the funds that I own for a Bitcoin recovery is one of their funds, and I can't wait to share with you that one next. Okay, I'll throw in maybe that ticker symbol today, but again, I'm not trying to have a conflict of interest. I want to read all the rules properly. But anyway, you can learn all about my e-guides here and what I do with Yieldmax and all these other funds at my website. Also, we're having a 10% discount, extended Black Friday sale until Sunday. So keep that in mind. Promo code FIRE for a 10% discount. All right, so again, we have this bounce back. We're up 7,000 today, and I wanted to do a members only video today. I see all my members in here. I'm so glad to see y'all. And I wanted to do a video just for y'all, but we did a video yesterday, and we've been just nailing the market bottoms, I feel. I've been putting all of it on circle and in our videos. And today, you saw me do an O-arc buy. That's one of the first things that I want to share with y'all is how I'm playing this recovery. I'm trying to wade in small here. You know that we deleveraged from the highs recently, and that's how we got this outperformance. We took all of our Bitcoin names and hyper growth names, even like an O-arc, like a CONY, like a MSTY, and we de-risked them. We took them down in size, okay? And we did that without losing because we knew how to delever and swap back into better funds, higher quality funds, so that when we dipped, we wouldn't lose any money. We would just lose minimal money on the way down, and then we get that back in tax loss harvesting, and then we buy higher quality funds with less margin leverage, okay? You can see my margin leverage here is 717,000, but we were just at 900,000. And I like to use margin because how else do you grow in this world without debt, okay? Excuse me, all of the greats that I know have used debt to get ahead. So I'm using debt, but this debt doesn't require a credit check. I can do whatever I want with it. I can buy and sell my stocks freely, and I can just be out of debt. But why do that when my dividends are over $1 million per year? They'll pay back my margin debt in less than 1 year. So it becomes not about what's in my margin debt, because again, a lot of this was short during the recent downturn as well, short debt. So it was negating the margin leverage, but really it comes down to what's in your portfolio. And so you can see, like, I have a ton of high quality holdings in my portfolio. I mean, look at all these blue chips. Okay, look at Cisco, UPS, Amgen up 18%. You see all these names. They were helping us during the recent downturn. We got out of MicroStrategy, at these levels right here. So when the MicroStrategy 200-day moving average broke, I was alerting to all my members, to get the heck out. I mean, it wasn't like, hey, it was a scary thing. We did this all in positions. We delevered without any panic because we know how to delever. That's all in my volume 7 e-guide. How to play the triple C's. The triple C's, it's not only how you get the gains like you got today, it's how you delever. And I don't know if people are quite understanding that once again. All right, I have no fear in the markets because I know how to delever and go from, let's say an OARC, okay? I can delever and go into leveraged vehicles of the same kind and cut my margin debt in half. So if I have 50K in OARC, but then I buy 25K of TARK, T-A-R-K, I just lowered my margin by 25,000, but I have the same bounce back potential. All right, now TARK's not one of my favorite vehicles to do that with, to do the deleveraging process with. I talk more about those in volume 7 once again. I don't put TARK in volume 7 because TARK has really high maintenance and it's a double, and so I like to do it more with triples because you can delever more, but then you get a better bounce back on the way back without losing much on the way down, because we'll be in something like an OARC, which falls less than its counterpart. MSTY a lot of times will fall less than MicroStrategy. QQQY's Defiance will fall less than the NASDAQ sometimes. OARC will fall less than ARKK sometimes. So we can't look at the OARC chart because we just got a reverse split, okay? And I want to sell more options on these vehicles soon. OARC is another vehicle I should explore. We were selling options yesterday in our video, our members only video, and I should do OARC next, okay? Because I bought some OARC today. I bought early this morning when we were up. I bought when we were down in the morning, right? And I sent the alert out to members. I know it was a short-lived dip, but I showed y'all the alert. Here I've been nailing all the charts. I feel like all the major asset classes, the top asset classes, I've been putting them here on Circle. Circle can be accessed through Discord at any time. When you buy my e-guides, you get Discord free for life. It's our chat room. But sometimes it gets crowded, so you can go over to Circle and see my comments, and you can see all my trade alerts there. So here's Circle. Here's the link. It's on my portfolio recap page, just in case my members are wondering. Okay, and also Discord is just a very special place, and I'll tell you more about that later. So to play this recovery, first of all, you've seen how I've been diversified, but I have my margin debt at higher levels, and I even saw Justin commenting on how he was trying to get some more OARC exposure, but without the risk. That's what I was doing today. I was alerting y'all of not only the buys, but how I get these results without the risk. Okay, I said just trying to get more exposure to Bitcoin recovery safely without the maintenance. All right, and so OARC, that's what's so key about it. We can sell options on it. We'll talk maybe about that later in this video if y'all want, but I prefer to just do a whole nother video on that tomorrow. But OARC right here, okay, look at its maintenance, 30%. Whereas if you go to something like a MicroStrategy, it's 100%. Now, a lot of viewers who watch my channel know that OARC is kind of like our life hack. It's like one of our secrets to getting ahead. You can use Bitcoin because it has a lot of Bitcoin holdings in it, OARC, okay? And it has Coinbase, for example, and it has other high-flying fintech names, but MicroStrategy is 100% maintenance, okay? And most Bitcoin names are 100% maintenance. So with OARC being 30%, it makes it safer for us to buy in the event of a recovery. You see that OARC is still off the highs. If you go to a chart of ARKK, you see that it's still off the highs. That's why we've been accumulating it recently for my members in my YouTube videos. You can find my latest trades in my YouTube members videos or in Circle. All right, and I know that I'm a pretty prolific investor. I buy a lot of things, I sell a lot of things, but if you just follow my e-guides and you follow my alerts and you stick to them and you have discipline, you stick to my alerts, you're going to do just fine, okay? It's not about keeping up with what I do. it's just about looking yourself in the mirror. Are you buying index vehicles? Are you being swayed by the public saying, who says that reverse splits are going to hurt you? Are you being swayed by the public when they say, hey, they're selling all their ULTY position, all right, and they're so glad they sold? I got so many comments on my, last few videos like, hey, they sold out of MSTY. They're so happy they did that. They sold out of ULTY. Well, I was making the case that they could be potentially selling at the bottom, okay, because Bitcoin, as you can see by the MicroStrategy chart, is finding this bottom, okay? It's this bottom right here. It's been going sideways. And so I'm not saying this is the bottom, but this is, this is a difference from the recent downtrend. We got almost 10 ticks sideways, 10 candles going sideways. And we got a MACD cross here. All that, how I use my charts and use the candlesticks, that's all in volume 2. Don't forget that. Again, I think most members, just look at the margin volume guide, volume 3. They look at the other guides, the triple C's being probably the most viable, once again, volume 7. But I don't think they look just at volume 2. I've been getting a lot of questions from members lately saying like, hey, can you go over more about the moving averages, Well, that's all in volume 2, and that's probably, moving averages are probably one of the biggest keys for how I get my returns. This setup right here, using my volume, you see the green volume, it's higher than the red. You see the MACD is crossing and the RSI is coming off oversold conditions. So that's all in volume 2. So MicroStrategy, that's how we played this. We played it in so many different ways, okay? And we're going to talk about those ideas in today's video. And I just gave you OARC. But remember, OARC, the biggest key with OARC is that it actually moves up. It can follow Bitcoin. It follows hypergrowth, but it does it with low maintenance. And so that's how you do it safely. If you need help understanding maintenance, that's in volume 3. All right, so, and you can also see past videos of like how I use maintenance, but if you don't understand, then that's also in volume 3. So we're playing OARC. You saw how I was alerting on Circle today. I bought some OARC, but I did it, because of the maintenance. All right. Now, the other alerts there are, like what I did with Chippy, for example, that's semiconductors, and that's a different asset class entirely. That is hyper growth, but we've already gotten our moves in semiconductors. That's why I was kind of lightening up on semiconductors today and deleveraging out of our leverage vehicles like, SOXO. We've gotten hundreds of % gains in SOXO. And so now we're back at the highs in semiconductors, but there are other hyper growth plays out there, okay? And one of those last bastions of cheap hyper growth plays that's combined with Bitcoin would be ARKK or OARC, okay? Now I said this video wasn't about ULTY or MSTY, but of course you can play MSTY for a Bitcoin recovery, okay? MSTY is up 87%. It has an 87% dividend, but it's up since inception 103%. So whoever thinks that MSTY falls on its chart and looks terrible on its chart and is going down is a terrible investment. They either bought here at the highs, which is what most people did. They got kind of caught up in the whole Yieldmax high growth launch of all the ETFs, not just Yieldmax but many others. And they were buying around here for the last 6 months to a year, right here. And then we had the huge drawback, the drawdown, the pullback. And they're all complaining, saying, oh, MSTY sucks or ULTY sucks. But really, Bitcoin is what's been falling. MicroStrategy is the holding of MSTY. Again, I don't really understand why people don't get that. MSTY tracks MSTR. So whatever MSTR does, that's what MSTY does. And as the prices fall, the dividends fall because the volatility falls. And then as prices rise, volatility rises, and then the dividends rise again. And maybe we're catching this at a historical point. Okay, I don't know what other YouTube videos are reporting on, but when we broke this area, I was saying to get out, and you saw me delevering. You saw me going into high quality at this area. We're going into the high quality index plays, delevering the whole way into the doubles and triples of the high quality indexes that lowered our margin, lowered our risk, and then we got the bounce back in the markets. The markets are back at the highs, essentially. Look at this chart of the market. It's back at the highs, whereas Bitcoin is still around the lows. So we got our entire bounce back. That's why you see in my account, back up to over 2.1 million. You see that our dividends are still over 1 million because that never changed. We delever without losing much in losses and capital gains, and we delever without losing our income. All right, because there's a way to do it. All right, it's really an art to doing this, and no chat GPT or anything like that can give you an answer for this. You just have to kind of feel the markets out. You have to watch my videos. When I make my moves, just follow them, okay? You can follow my videos anytime on my wall on YouTube. Okay, here's my wall. I have something else that's playing up there, but you can follow my videos there on YouTube. Okay, so most members buy my guides and then they follow along in the videos afterwards. Otherwise, they're kind of lost in those videos as well. Or, you know, I would just say make sure when you do get the guides, you don't just read 1 or 2, you read them all from 1 to 7, because 1 to 2 is, you know, how you build your fundamentals and technical foundation, and then all the other e-guides help, you know, build out the rest of the foundation. Margin being number 3, because it's, you know, the foundation after macro and, you know, fundamentals and technical analysis. Then you do your margin. Then we talk about Cornerstone volume 4, because obviously that's the one that makes me, you know, that I anchor most of my money in. ULTY is my largest position, but Cornerstone is my index position, and that's how we stayed up during this entire time. Cornerstone, look at its chart. It held up. It has a 20% dividend, and it has the drip at NAV, the 20% drip at NAV. As you can see here, 20.5. So you get a 20% dividend with Cornerstone, and you get the drip at NAV every month. All right, so I can't go without mentioning Cornerstone. I didn't even have plans to mention Cornerstone, but I had to, because how did I stay up? Well, I told you, I delevered. I showed you the chart of MicroStrategy, and I showed you how I delevered in the triples and doubles. That's all in volume 7. But then also, how did I stay up? How did my account hold up so well? It was because of Cornerstone, because it drips at the bottom. When the market's falling, it's buying the bottoms for you, because it drips at the NAV for 20% gains. Sometimes they're 30 to 40% gains every month on top of the 20% dividend. All right. I mean, it's very simple. And then Cornerstone's a 4-star fund, so how can anyone deny Cornerstone? They say it goes down in its chart. Look here. It goes up on its chart when you factor back in dividends. The same goes for ULTY. The same goes for MSTY. Look at the MSTY chart. Okay. It was moving upward, left, or right before the recent fall. So if you factor back in dividends, that's what you get. Okay. But instead, everyone's going to look at a MSTY chart. Okay. They're not even looking at MicroStrategy's chart. They're looking at MSTY's chart and they're saying, oh man, MSTY does way worse than MicroStrategy. That's because they're not factoring in dividends. Why can't y'all get this through, okay, your heads, that MSTY falls more than MicroStrategy because it falls from the X dates. It'll rise up with MicroStrategy when MicroStrategy is rising, you know, day to day through the week. And then at the end of the week, it has its X dividend date drop, which drops the stock, but then you get the dividend back. And so you factor back in the dividend, and then you get this true chart for MSTY, okay? This chart where it looks upward, left, or right, okay? And that was, again, before the recent fall. But was the fall from MSTY itself? No. It was from MicroStrategy. But, I mean, my members know this. I know my members get that, but you would be surprised with the comments that I get in these videos. Okay, y'all are going to be extremely surprised. I mean, I know all of y'all follow, and I can't wait to see all these comments from non-members. I've opened up the chat to all viewers today so that we can all chime in and get the best ideas for a Bitcoin recovery. But I also will love to hear anyone doubting what's been happening recently with my account. When it comes to Cornerstone, we've been holding up well. When it comes to the reverse splits and ULTY, nothing changed. Nothing changed. Nothing changed. I feel so vindicated. I love this. I mean, I wish I could just be right about, you know, calling a bottom in the market and then going up, which we might be potentially doing here with MicroStrategy. Okay, but I've been calling many bottoms here in the past and starting my YouTube channel. 3 years of starting this YouTube channel, we've been nailing the bottoms every time because of how I use my charts and all that. I've also been investing for 20 years, so there's a certain feel I have for it. And I just don't have fear like everyone else has. You know, like you buy the dips, okay, and you sell the rips. You don't buy high and then complain when things fall like with MicroStrategy. You just keep averaging down, dollar cost averaging, and keeping that position size small though, so it's not affecting you. And then we're hiding out in ULTY, which, you know, looks bad on its chart, but it's really not when you factor back in total returns. Okay, I just showed you. We've talked about MSTY, okay, we've talked about MicroStrategy, but look at ULTY. It looks terrible on its chart, but go to Yieldmax. How come no one goes to the Yieldmax website and sees that the total return is actually just negative 1% when the chart is down like 50% or something like that? How come no one factors that in? And then how come no one looks at the holdings, okay? You go look at the holdings of an ULTY and you see that it's, you know, semiconductor, Hypergrowth, okay? Semiconductors are hypergrowth. And then you have coin, which is fintech and Bitcoin. You have Circle, okay? Hypergrowth. You have Eli Lilly, which we've been making a killing in Eli Lilly recently. You have all these other hypergrowth plays, okay? So, of course, Meta, you have Meta in here. You have Lam Research, I mean, Micron, of course, these are going to fall with the market. When Bitcoin falls, risk on sentiment fails. And so all these other high growth areas fall as well. But we already had a major bounce back in many of those, and Cornerstone held up well. So where can we get more exposure to this hyper growth recovery when we've already had a comeback? We've already had semiconductors come back, like I said. So where can we get the rest of this comeback? Cornerstone, it held up. We can't just go buy more Cornerstone. Just for the record, make sure that when you play closed-end funds like Cornerstone, to time them around their premium levels. You can't just go buy Cornerstone and think, hey, it's going to be fine. Todd said it's going to be fine. I don't give advice. All I can say is that I can share what works for me. And we sold right here at the highs and we bought at the lows. How do we sell at the highs? Because if you head to my Discord chat room, you'll see our Cornerstone RO announcement section. This is what gave us the N2 filing and the Cornerstone rights offering announcement. So we knew when the N2 filing came, that was the time to start unloading shares, okay? You can learn all about this in volume 4, or you can just follow my Discord. And Discord is free with my e-guides, okay? Free for life. All right, so again, make sure you're playing Cornerstone properly. Now, we've anchored in Cornerstone. We've deleveraged out of the hyper growth and Bitcoin plays like MicroStrategy and all that. We de-risked, we delevered. That's how my margin went from 900,000 to 700,000. However, I still now want to have exposure to Bitcoin, okay? We lost a little bit in Bitcoin along the way down, a little bit, okay? We were up 35% for the year. Now we're up 25% for the year. So I lost a little bit in Bitcoin, but as you can see, again, we're up today 0.17. Yesterday, we're up another 25,000 or so. We blew away the indexes by a whole nother percentage point because Bitcoin had a big rally. All right, the rest of the market was sort of flat, but we had a nice gain because we're getting back into Bitcoin. OARC being the first one that we're bringing up today. OARC, okay, and I already told you why. It's because of the low maintenance. All right, now OARC is one of those plays, okay, for recovery. I am, of course, buying more ULTY because nothing changed due to the reverse split. And I did buy some more MSTY. But another thing that I did, my members know about this well, I've been buying the MSTU vehicle, the leverage vehicle for MicroStrategy, MSTU, and then, I bought 10K MSTU and I bought 5K MSTZ. Now, I just want, and that's a strangle, that way if Bitcoin can make you hundreds of thousands of dollars over the next 10 years on that 10,000 invested, go look at what our triples did on a Morningstar test. They made you hundreds of thousands with $10,000 invested. The same should be true for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin is the truth, then the same should be for MicroStrategy because its biggest holding is Bitcoin. So I bought 10,000 MSTU. All right, this is point number 2. This is just a freebie. I have 2 other points that I want to give y'all, 2 other ways to play a hyper growth recovery. But for MicroStrategy itself, okay, it'd be a sin to miss the bottom, like the rally after a 50% drop. So, I bought 10,000 MSTU and then 5,000 MSTZ. All right, it's too much gold that I give at my channel, okay? And, and I see y'all's likes up there. I see that tip. Someone did a $10 tip up there, and I'm going to get to you in 1 second, but thank you. And if everyone else is enjoying this video, please click like or subscribe if you want more videos like this promoted to you. I try to do these at the right time and do, public service to YouTube and to all my members. We've built a wonderful community here. We have over 3,000 members at Discord, and I have other, viewers here. We have over 30,000 subscribers at this channel who, have been with me, for a long time. And I just want to do everyone a solid by perhaps coming out at the potential bottom for MicroStrategy. Okay. Now, again, if MicroStrategy loses, well, we have a strangle on. We're hedged with MSTU. We're hedged with MSTZ when it comes to MSTU. Okay. You can only lose, 5,000 in that, but you could potentially make hundreds of thousands down the road, okay? And I've been alerting of all my MSTU buys, and sells on Circle and in my members-only videos. Now, when it comes to removing the shorts, hedging, with the MSTZs of the world, I've been, just trimming them, on strength whenever I can, okay? And that's more of a personal preference. All right, members, remember that. I don't want to just keep flooding my chat with, buying some of the short, taking some of the short off, buying some of MSCZ, taking it off, okay? I want y'all to all, kind of do it as a personal case-by-case basis. Maybe you have more or less profits. Maybe you have other positions in Bitcoin you're trying to protect, so you leave the short on. Maybe you have less positions in Bitcoin, so you're trying to take any profit in that MSTZ short. All right, it's really up to you. I've told you I want to leave that open for interpretation. Because in general, if you just hold the strangle long term, you're going to win. But if you want max perfection, then you can trade around your MSTZ shorts and make money on both sides, the long and the short side. I'm again just not trying to overwhelm everyone with that. All right, so that's idea number 2. Okay, first I gave you an incredible idea with low maintenance, and then because it's still off the highs, whereas the market's back at the highs. Semiconductors are back at the highs. Okay, SMH. Okay. This is a pretty thorough video, okay? I don't know where else you're going to get this on YouTube, because I really do this. I really live it. All right, every other person out there that I know of is either just trying to get views, or they're just trying to stick with 1 or 2 strategies that isn't really a comprehensive strategy. Okay, SMH, we're back at the highs here. Something to be aware of. Some members are telling me how they're trying to go heavy into semiconductors right now. I'm wondering, where are they getting that information? We've already had our huge run in semiconductors. That's why I trimmed some today, and I told you on Circle. Now we're back at the highs, and the S&P is back at the highs, partly because semiconductors are over 20% of the S&P. So where else can we get that? I just gave you 2 ideas. Now another idea that I have for y'all is simply BitX, just because BitX is, the asset class of Bitcoin itself, but it gives you a dividend. It's a dividend paying ETF, and it's leverage. So this is one of the vehicles that we delevered out of, lowered our margin. We use BitX to delever out of MSTY at the highs. All right, lowered our margin by half. Okay, and then still got dividends, but got a better bounce back potential without decay. This is going to compound up for you over the long term. It'll still decay some because it's leveraged, but it's going to compound more than MSTY would. So that's how we're getting our growth. Okay, MSTU should hopefully compound as well once it finally gets going. That will also decay because it's leveraged, so be aware of that. All right, so BitX, I can't say enough about it. That's how we got a lot of our deleveraging accomplished without the risk, without losing much. And because MSTY falls less than MicroStrategy, you sell from it, and then you buy half of BitX because it gives you the same bounce back potential, and it gives you the dividend still. All right, and again, that's that precedent of how we delever. It's all in volume 7. Okay, you can apply that to all the vehicles that we use. All right, and so also I sold options on BitX. Okay, so I just gave you a 3rd idea, but I'm going for a 4th now. And you could even, as I see Cornerstone on the page here, you can also include Cornerstone as an idea of how you just stabilize your account from Bitcoin. Okay, and in addition to the ideas I've given you today, we have the obvious ideas like ULTY, CONY, okay, and MSTY. But how can we do it safely? That's why I gave you OARC, because it's lower maintenance. That's why I'm giving you the strangle straddle strategy, okay, the strangle with MicroStrategy, MSTU, MSTZ. Then I'm giving you BitX. Again, no one else on YouTube is giving this kind of stuff. I just know it. And, and I just hope everyone appreciates me for it. I know my members do. And so I gave you all that. And then now I'm giving you BitX, and BitX is not only how I delever, which I just explained, but you can also sell options on BitX. Okay, I've lowered my margin by another 10,000 yesterday. Just clicking the mouse, I probably lowered my margin by 50 to 100,000 in BitX over the years alone, and so that lowered my margin by 10,000. All right, now you can't see the options here because it has all these stocks in the way. Again, these stocks are what's been holding up my account in a down market. We have many more of these. But, you sell options, it lowers your margin, it lowers your maintenance in many cases, it lowers your volatility because of the way that I sell options, it lowers your risk because it's the safest way to play Bitcoin is when you sell the options on Bitcoin, and it pays you immediately. Instead of having to wait for a Bitcoin run, you just sell the options on BitX, okay? And again, it lowered my margin significantly, okay? So selling options is another way to play the recovery. We sold options on a few different vehicles yesterday, and I can't wait to do OARC next. All right, if you need help doing all that, that's in volume 6 of my e-guides. And also, again, I'll do a video for y'all tomorrow on how we're doing OARC. Okay, that's the next one that I can't wait to, if the prices go higher in OARC, I can't wait to cover this, because if the prices go higher, then we get juicier premiums because the share price is higher. If the prices go lower for OARC, well, then we're going to get juicier premiums in a way as well, because now when prices fall for puts, obviously, for a stock, that's when you sell puts for max volatility. It's like, how could you get higher premiums in both directions then? Because when the share price is high, you still get high premiums overall. So we're in a good sweet spot right now, and I can't wait to do the options on ORC because of the reverse split. If there wasn't a reverse split, then it wouldn't be as attractive. We did the same thing for ULTY yesterday. The reverse split was just amazing. Again, it kept our maintenance the same at 50% for ULTY. It kept our account value the same. It kept our dividends the same. It kept everything the same. Look at our performance. It's still going up because of how ULTY and MSTY paid down my debt so fast. All right, so those are the 3 ways. I gave you 4 ways actually, and if you include not only how we delivered out of BitX, but how you sell the options on BitX, that's 5 ways to play a hyper growth recovery, potentially near the bottom with Bitcoin and hyper growth plays without the same risk that everyone else is taking, okay? Because when you sell options, it's lower risk. When you strangle things, they're lower risk. When you go with lower maintenance in itself, it's lower risk because low maintenance is the key to living the FIRE lifestyle, okay? It's how we withdraw and pay all of our bills out of our account, okay? So I'm using this channel to, bring accountability to myself, okay? I want to stay accountable, okay? But I want to bring awareness to how I'm using all these strategies to live free from 9 to 5, okay? But it's not really about living free from 9 to 5. You can stay at your job. I work hard, on these YouTube videos, and it's like a second job, and it just helps supercharge your investing career. But the thing that I want to bring the most awareness to is how to outperform. All right, how to outperform in up markets and down markets. You saw that we're outperforming. We had achieved perfect diversification during the recent downturn to where we were actually down less than the market on down days, even with Bitcoin falling, because of our allocations, because we stay disciplined and we invest, I try to invest no more than 5 to 10% in my account with Bitcoin, and that's what professionals say to do. All right, if you need help doing the same, okay, outperforming and living free out of your brokerage account, email me for my e-guides at akintodd48@gmail.com, or head to my website, Unconventional Wealth Ideas, where we're leading the FIRE movement. I can't wait to see everyone's ideas in the chat. All right, I want to see if there are other vehicles that we could use for a hyper growth recovery with Bitcoin and other high growth names like a CONY, like even a Palantir, like a Robinhood. Those are tied to Bitcoin. Like Robinhood has fintech ability, and so we've been buying all that in our members only videos, and I can't wait to hear what everyone else has to say. All right, don't forget a 10% discount, until the end of the month, extended, and end of the week, extended Black Friday sale, 10% discount if you enter in promo code FIRE, all right, FIRE. All right, so let's see what everyone has to say. I hope no one has anything to say negative about the reverse split with ULTY and how it affected them. No one can say anything now, okay? Everything stayed the same. All right, and I'm just so proud of that. And then now, what ideas do we have for Bitcoin? All right, and I just can't say that, man. I really wanted to come out here just to say, gosh, look at how nothing changed with the reverse split. Remember how much grief I was getting for that? And Yieldmax said they wouldn't do the reverse split, and then we got them to do the reverse split because we told them how important it was, okay? It's going to raise your maintenance if it goes below 3, and even if you're not using margin, that's what's so critical about these reverse splits. That's why we need them. And then you can also sell options, as I just alluded to get even more premiums because the reverse split made the share price higher, all right? And then you can sell those options, all right? So just really, really amazed by the developments happening around these reverse splits lately. And they're happening at a good time. They're happening when Bitcoin happens to be bottoming, so you can put more money in something like these and not have fear of a maintenance change, okay? So just really excited, like ecstatic really, all around the board. All right, so once again, hey, I call you Bro the Third, Bro Hannestein, bro. All right, what's up, bro? Hey, Justin, happy Dividend Thursday. Great comments today. And, I hope, some of that made sense in regards to like how to hedge and how to protect. We're trying to buy Bitcoin safely, but also you're wondering how to protect. And I gave, just little tidbits on how I'm approaching the puts. All right, the strangle with MSTU, MSTZ, not just puts, of course we have puts. All right, we talk all about puts and all of my hedges in volume 5, but as far as like how to hedge specifically MicroStrategy, we used Winter, we used MSTZ, and how I'm getting in and out of MSTZ. It's a personal preference, once again, everyone. So make sure y'all are either trimming around the highs and lows for those if you want max performance, or if you just go long term and MicroStrategy wins, then that strangle, that 5K and MSTZ is not going to matter, but your 10K and MSTU is going to pile up. It's really a low risk way to play this fence that we're at. I just showed you the chart for MicroStrategy. So great point, Justin. Yeah, QQY also has that low maintenance. All right. And I love that low maintenance, and it has a really high yield. And so that's why we stay in it, and it falls less than the markets. All right. Great points. And, thanks for helping getting the conversation started today, Justin. All right. Always appreciate my members. Hey, Sniper, Rambler. Glad you can make it, Rambler. Let's see. Hey, Dave. Once again, great to see you, Sniper. Dave, Richard. Hey, C. Martin. Great to see you, Chris. Hey, DC. Great points as well, Chris. That made for a good conversation in our last video. Great points you were making at Circle, Chris. DC, welcome. And great to see you. Hey, Joe. Todd, the man, the myth, the legend. Let's go. 100% Misty YOLO. Right. Yeah, and great call yesterday, Joe, on Walmart, WMTI. I just, y'all know that Walmart and Costco are one of my staples. They're literally in the staple section of the S&P, but they're a staple of my portfolio. And, having some Walmart combined with WMTI, is just a great way to play both sides of the spectrum, dividends and capital gains. Appreciate you always, Joe. All right. Wayne, what's up, Wayne? Hope all is well up north. All right. I won't give away too much of anyone's information, of course. Hey, Thomas, check out MTYY. It's only 50% maintenance at E-Trade versus 100%. Thomas, great information. Let's check this out. So if we go to MTYY, and I saw your comment earlier, Thomas, and I was excited to get to it. 50%, this is the YieldBoost, and it's been out for more than a few months, and it still has 50% maintenance. That is amazing. All right, so what do we do? What do we do with this information? Well, I keep it in the Bitcoin section. I always start positions in the Bitcoin section. So MTYY, that Granite Shares has the protective puts, and with 50% maintenance, it's just a gem. Okay, so that's what this community is so great for. Okay, that's why I think we have the most valuable community, finance community in the world, because it's over 3,000 members, okay, in our Discord, and we have 30,000 in our subscribers, but that's still not even enough when it comes to subscribers. But when you got 3,000 in a Discord that are coming with information like this, it's really hard to lose. The only way you can lose is if you get bombarded by all the information, which is why I had to keep certain channels slow at Discord. And the key with it is digesting all these plays, incorporating them into your portfolio, Thomas, without adding all the extra risk just because we found another cool vehicle. But MTYY is too hard to pass up, right, Thomas? 50% maintenance. You saw me just do a 1,500, but that's all that I did, 1,500. And that's where the other Bitcoin names are, and that's a very small percentage and relative to the rest of my account, and that's how we stayed ahead, okay? And we get the bulk of our income and our performance from ULTY, Cornerstone, and the triple Cs. All right, but we still have fun with these Bitcoin plays. They don't hurt us too bad on the way down, but they can grow to hundreds of thousands, potentially millions for us in the next 10 to 20 to 30 years. And that's how we do it. We play it long, especially right here on the fence, 50% off the high, something like MicroStrategy. All right, great stuff, Thomas. Hey, Ed, great to see you. Hey, Frosty, my admin. Great to see you, brother. Hope all is well today, Frosty. Without you, I don't know where I'd be at Discord, okay? Thank you again, Frosty. Glad you can make it today, brother. And thanks for all those texts, regarding the triples. I've been getting a lot of comments, about that, and you're really helping bring awareness to to the triples, bring awareness to that issue. We'll talk more about it on Circle, but it's not really an issue for us, I think. I think it's for newer leverage funds that are coming out that might have some issues like being approved, so great information, Frosty. All right, hey, Jason, JJ, let's stack chip, let's do it. Jeremy, Joe, how'd you know my strategy? Yeah, right. Hey, great to see you, Jeremy. Let's Love my group so much. This is my fire family. All right. I told you I'm not too close to my family. It's another thing I have written in my notes that I forgot to mention. It's hard for me to not do these videos because we're making so much money and it's hard to keep all of that inside. My members know that. I say that. But another thing is like, it's hard to make money when the market's going up to the highs. Like, it's easy for me to buy the lows. It's easy for me to deleverage and then go to equivalent vehicles that you know are going to bounce back. And I actually like dealing with down markets because you know that we can just, we can stalk a down market and we can really nestle in and get major returns on the way back. But when it's an up market, then I start looking for ways to squeeze out more performance, and that's where I get a little bit of anxiety because it's like, everything else is expensive, So if we're going to do Bitcoin and hypergrowth, we need to make sure, and I see Bob, I see your alert, Bob. When we do these things, MicroStrategy and all that, we got to make sure we're doing it safely because we're not going to get caught off guard like all the other YouTube channels, okay? We're not going to get caught with their pants down, all right? We're not going all in MSTY. I know Joe and Jeremy are being facetious because they know that's the way to just, be destroyed, And that's how we made it during this downturn. All right. So I share all this with y'all because I love to stay accountable and and all my members, we keep each other accountable. It's great having this, but also it's just hard to watch gains go up. It's like a lot of energy, like you look at these gains. Yesterday we're up 25,000. Today we're up 5,000. It's no big deal. But what's impressive to me is just being up 0.5%, 0.15 when the markets are only at 0.07 or 0.02 with the decay of, Yieldmax and ULTY and all those things. So with the diversification we've achieved, we still outperform in up and down markets. And that to me is a lot to hold in. It's very exciting. And it's like when you're making all that kind of money, especially when you're trying to, find more ways to make money, it's a lot to keep in and I have to share it. And that's why I started my YouTube channel. One of the many reasons why. Good afternoon, Dividend Degenerate, Mr. Rec. Hope you're well too. Thank you, Jeremy. Good morning, Todd and the Fire Gang. Hey, great to see you, Jeremy. Obviously, I can't say enough, about my community. Great to see you again, Jeremy. Sandaviz, you're welcome. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for the appreciation. JJ, this guy is a boss. Thank you, JJ. I appreciate that. All right. We all are. Because of margin, because of what we do here, it makes us to where we can all be our own bosses. So thank you for saying that, JJ. Hey, Tom. Great to see you, Tom. Man, I have so much love for all you guys and gals, of course. Tom, great to see you as always, sir. Daniel, ULTY Nav is holding big time. Yeah, Daniel, because Bitcoin's bouncing back. Semiconductors already had their bounce back. So ULTY, it's no surprise that it's going sideways. Remember when it was going sideways, earlier in the year, it was up 30% for the year. And then it was acting like a glorified CD account, and it's just giving us an 80% yield going sideways. Nobody was complaining then. But then when the bottom dropped out because Bitcoin fell and because the holdings within ULTY fell, not ULTY itself fell, then everyone started complaining and trashing Yieldmax, and Yieldmax had nothing to do with it. They were trashing me, and I certainly had nothing to do with it because I was never advocating to be in these things in a big way. ULTY is my largest position, but it's still only a small amount of my account, okay? In total, Cornerstone is actually my largest position when you combine both of them, and that's still a small amount of my account, roughly, relatively. Great point, Daniel. Yeah, Joe, I was cracking up. You guys crack me up, man. Daniel, fire for life. Let's do it, Daniel. Love this guy. I love you too, Daniel. I appreciate you. I just took a shower, and again, I put that lotion on, that facial lotion, and that stuff tastes disgusting. Be careful with that stuff. All right. I'm like coughing on it. Jeremy, almost all these Yieldmax funds have taken quite the hit in AUM over the last month, though. Yeah, Jeremy, but AUM doesn't matter. AUM, it could be, it could be the most thinly traded funds out there. I never look at AUM. I just look at what the underlying is doing. If people are leaving, that's their fault. That just shows you that the herd is leaving. You don't want to go with the herd, Jeremy. Just whenever you hear a YouTube channel say, oh my gosh, this is a great fund because it has AUM. I hear some channels doing that, and it's really ridiculous because it doesn't matter. That does not matter. I mean, that matters minimally, in my opinion. Day to day, again, they have such good execution out here on these brokerage platforms and with these market makers that they're still pretty liquid, even if AUM falls. And if it's only if AUM gets to a detrimental amount that maybe you'd have some insolvency or liquidity issues. But other than that, Jeremy, it's all about the underlying holdings. So AUM, let it fall. That's just a sign that the herd is leaving, and that's an indicator of a bottom, Jeremy, when the AUM falls. All right, look at it like that. When it's in quality, okay, when it's in quality, and ULTY has high quality names. G Poly, QQY estimated divs are skewed at the moment. So the income will drop some when that gets sorted. Still amazing. Yes, it is. Depends on your brokerage. Wayne, the man, the myth, the legend, Todd Aiken. Thank you, Wayne. I always appreciate you. Seagal, hey, Todd, happy Thursday. Great to see you, Seagal. Great recommendations recently on Circle. I'm trying to, work on that. Always trying to make it a better experience for everyone. Thank you, Daniel. I wouldn't represent it if it didn't work. That's right. I only share what works for me. Okay, if it didn't work, I'd be trashing this stuff, but it's working. So I come out and of course I share it. Line Bro, what about Bitto or Maxi? Yeah, we have Bitto and Maxi. Those are always candidates for us. But with Bitto and Maxi, for me, they're 100% maintenance and you lose some upside because, some of it's capped because they're covered calls and all that. They work well, no doubt about it. But the vehicles that I gave you in today's video, Line Bro, they actually make more on the upside. They move bigger on the upside, keep their gains. Okay, and there are more ways to use them. You can also sell options on Bitto and Maxi. Like I've sold options on at least Bitto, I believe. But still, I'm going for the most yield and the most leverage return. Those are great vehicles. We used to use those in the past, Line Bro, but now I've found better vehicles to maximize cap gains and then maximize dividends. All right, but those are not bad. I agree. Thank you for those recommendations, Lion Bro. And none of us give recommendations, of course. We're all just sharing what works with us and what experience we've had. Hey, Maddie. Great to see you, Maddie. Hope all is well. Dwayne. Hey, Todd. Keep up the good fight. Proof is in the returns. Exactly. Proof is in the pudding, right, Dwayne? And then you see these returns, okay? The returns were up. Again, if you're just now joining this video, we're still up 25% for the year. We were up 35% because Bitcoin had a fall and Hypergrowth had a fall. We weren't just in Bitcoin. We were in the Palantirs of the world, the Robinhoods. So a lot of those had a fall. But then, we're still back up 25%, whereas the S&P is only up 16%. When Bitcoin comes back, which is what this video is dedicated to, if and when it comes back, you're going to see our performance come back as well. We'll be back at that 35%. And as long as the market can hold up and creep higher because Bitcoin's a proxy of risk on sentiment, then I think we could eclipse 35% gains this year. Every year in YouTube, we've had at least 30% gains. We had 50% the first year, high 30s the second year, even high 40s, and then it finished up high 30s, and then low 30s this year. All right, so you do that. I've already told y'all a million times, 500,000 I started with plus 500,000 in margin, that's $1 million total. And then you get 30%, 30%, 30%, that's $1 million. All right, that's 100%, and that's how I did it. All right, everyone thinks it's because, I bring in loans and my outside money into my account. Who cares? We should all be bringing our money to our accounts, okay? Because y'all at least get to keep your dividends in your account. Okay, my dividends have to go out of my account to pay my bills and my loans. So all that offsets. It's about the percentages, right, Dwayne? The percentages on $1 million invested, again, do 30%, 33% times 3 years. That is a double. That's $1 million. All right, so that's how you really do it. Just stay focused. Just stay with the math. You can control your whole destiny with margin and maintenance, okay? So just keep that in mind, everyone. Remember that, okay? Justin, you have to be mindful of the 100% maintenance on the Bitcoin direct funds. Right, Justin, you have to. Okay, and then when they fall, the dividends get cut, and then you're stuck with no equity left. Your dividends fell, so your margin debt is high. You can't have that happen. Okay, a lot of people got sucked into a dividend trap that way because they went all in, MSTY, YOLO into ULTY or something like that. Daniel, Robinhood still with 70% on ULTY. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's just Robinhood specifically, Daniel. All right, maybe Robinhood decided to change it. Maybe some members are over concentrated. Let us know, Daniel, if you're over concentrated, because that's another reason why they may do it. Or maybe it's just, Robinhood specific. Not every broker is the best, and like you could go to Charles Schwab for lower maintenance here, but at E-Trade it's higher maintenance, or it's lower maintenance at E-Trade, but it's higher maintenance at Schwab, or lower maintenance at Robinhood. They all vary, but all I can tell you is that nothing changed with me in principle, Daniel, with a reverse split. If something changes with your broker, that's not on me. That's not on anyone. That's not on Yieldmax. That's just on the broker. Maureen Aiken, hey Todd, Costa Rica sounds great. That's my dad. He's talking with with my stepmom's name. And thanks, Dad. I appreciate you. I wanted to be there with the family this Christmas, but they offered it, and they're paying for it, and I have to disclose that, I believe. And it's just an opportunity I don't want to pass up. They are really nice people, as Marcos was saying. And they really helped work with me, to get me a great place last night. So I look forward to, again, bringing y'all all of the updates, all of my members, and of course my dad, because I invest. My dad and my whole family, we all do similar things, but everyone has slightly different allocations. Can't wait to share with you all their stories one day, because it fits for different investor, criteria, different age groups, different risk tolerances. DP, thanks, Dad. I love you, Dad. DP, you love blocks. Blocks is a good one. Blocks, great idea, DP. We have some blocks, but you have to keep that one small. 100% maintenance, and it is a widow maker. It has some crazy names in it. A lot of blocks is semiconductor related, so we're able to size out of blocks and go back into leverage semiconductors and get all of our gains on the way back up. So blocks will kill you on the way down. It works fine on the way back up, but I found better ways to break apart my equity, my money, and take it away from blocks and get into higher growth Bitcoin and lower risk, semiconductors, because those are the indexes. Daniel, you're back in MSTY. Okay. Capital. Hey Todd, looking forward to some hypergrowth. Got beat down a bit last month. Yeah, G. We are really expensive in most of the market, but these are the last areas, the last, vestiges of cheap hypergrowth areas, that within Bitcoin, that's pretty much the last area. Semiconductors, all these have had comebacks. Robinhood's not far off the highs. Palantir still has some room before old highs. The XLK still has some room, but in general, everything is getting expensive, with the exception of those stocks that I have in my account. Those blue chips, some of them are still really cheap, so the market could continue to move higher. But at the end of the day, the only thing that I see that's cheap that's left is Bitcoin itself. All right, so these are the safest ways to play it, in my opinion. Thomas, CEPI, Rex Crypto Equity Premium Income, also 50% maintenance at E-Trade. Okay, SEPI. So we have FEPI, and then you have SEPI, okay, CEPI. All right, Thomas, great information. Okay, we know that FEPI is 50% maintenance, and if you go to SEPI, you'll see that it is 50% maintenance. All right, so another great recommendation today. My margin debt is not that pricey right here. My margin debt, of course, my interest doesn't matter to me. Okay, my margin interest, it's lower than 5%, so I don't mind racking it up. My dividends come in so fast that I don't even worry about that. Okay, so another great call. All right, who was that again? Was that Thomas? Let me just go in here one more time. Get to the chat. I'm just putting it up on a black background so it's easy on your eyes. Thomas, great play. All right, great idea. Thomas, did you do, who gave that previous recommendation? Yeah, Thomas, MTYY. So you're on fire today, Thomas. SEPI, once again, we just placed that. Okay, so 1,500. It's 50% maintenance, so it's not even sucking up a lot of our equity. All right, what a gold mine this community is. Okay, so let me just get back to the comments one more time. Okay, those testimonials that you can see there on my website. Okay, and I have so many more to enter in. I just can't even get to it right now. Jake, I haven't received an SMS since November 1st. Has something changed? Yes, Jake, I don't use the SMS anymore on WhatsApp, Jake, okay? I just use Circle for my alerts, okay? So that's where you can find all the alerts. I alerted, in the SMS. See that last message there, Jake. Hey, Zach, what's up, Zach? Oh, man, hope the weather's good up there in Cincinnati. All right, I know I grew up with Zach, and he moved recently. Hope all is well, brother. Man, so good to see you. Hope all is well. Let's call me, Zach, okay? We got a lot to talk about with the Rockets. Same with you, Dad. All right, Jared, and I responded to your email this morning, Dad, about the Rockets. Jared, question, guys. I'm considering joining his Discord. Does he show his full portfolio holdings update in real time, or he makes changes to his portfolio? Jared, my portfolio can be found here in real time if you want, my portfolio. It's under memberships at my wall on YouTube. Okay, Jared? Discord, just where we, like in my portfolio recap, that's just where we talk about, we recap the portfolio. You can find everything, all my moves, again, in my lives under memberships on my wall. All right, Daniel, Hood at 35% for MSTY, amen. Yeah, Robinhood always has low maintenance, so it's surprising that they did that with ULTY. Hopefully that's just temporary. Thomas, the Circle group is the way to go versus Discord, in my opinion. Too much noise on Discord. I totally agree, Thomas. I appreciate you saying that, Thomas, and it's because of members like you who enrich it so much and enrich these videos. And honestly, the public doesn't deserve this, okay? Because y'all are paying members, and that's why I value so much, because you value me, and it's a reciprocal relationship. And Thomas, I again really appreciate you saying that about Circle, because I put a lot of time and effort into Circle, and I'm trying to make it as clean and neat and straightforward and as seamless as can be, whereas Discord is just a wealth of information. It's like a fire hose, many members say, just drinking out of a fire hose. But nonetheless, I've frozen a lot of channels and slowed them down on Discord so you could just go back there and read all of the golden information that we have here. All right, if you go to Discord, look at these channels here. We have a how to get loans. That's a lot of how I got my growth and success. But the performance percentages, matter the most. The percentages. 30% each year. That's what really matters, the talent and the skill to investing in all this. But you have so many other things here, okay? You have all these other channels. You can go look at how to do Rex funds, how to do Roundhill. Whoever was saying ULTY and MSTY are doing terrible, or the reverse split's going to kill you and all that, now you know how ridiculous it all looked, okay? No one should have been YOLOing in MSTY. No one should have been YOLOing in ULTY, okay? And none of those were doing bad. It was just the holdings themselves doing bad. And then the reverse split had nothing to do with anything, as y'all see now. Thanks again, Thomas. HOYY, also 50% maintenance at E-Trade. Thomas, man, we're adding these in, right? But we're only adding 1,500, so it's not hurting. And again, what can I say? What a great community we have here. Great idea. I'm really happy about that. That's going to increase our income significantly. I don't even remember what it was, but it has to be higher now because of those Bitcoin plays we just added to the fold. But with low maintenance, all right, and Thomas understands that, okay? And so do many of my members, and that's what's so great about this community. Once again, I do like Bitto grind. I just have, bigger fish to fry. As Thomas just showed, 50% maintenance, I'll take that all day over 100% maintenance in Bitto. Nutrition. Still can't log into Discord, waiting for them to fix the issue. Can't wait so I can start engaging. Yeah, nutrition. I remember you talking about that yesterday. Make sure you delete your account and then log in from your phone, and then, start with a fresh link. If you need me to send you a fresh link, let me know. And if that's something that was related to your Discord from years ago, if I think you were mentioning it to me, yeah, I hope they resolve that. But everyone, if you're trying to get on Discord, use your phone to get into Discord. Install the app from your phone. If you're trying to get into Circle, which can be found in Discord, okay? Again, Discord's free with my e-guides, okay, for life. And then you can find the Circle link in my portfolio recap channel, okay? Portfolio recap, if you just go to the top here, portfolio recap. It's right here, okay? You can see the Circle link there. All right, and then make sure you use your desktop to download Circle. Discord your phone, desktop for Circle. Okay, now getting back to the chat. See if there's any other good ideas. Once again, great stuff, Thomas. Hey, Hulk, man, what's up? How's everything going in the garden? All right, you've been making some great stuff there. Okay, you've been showing me some incredible pictures. Hope all is well, brother. All right, hope everything's well with your family. We know how important that is. Hope your mom's okay. Hey Daniel, what's up? Great to see you, Daniel. Hope everything's good with your account now. I remember you're having some issues with it being locked up. Hulkman, you like KYLD better? Yeah, KYLD. I know you like that. I remember you texting me about that. KYLD. There's ULTY, ULTY, but KYLD. It's a good candidate, but I want to make sure I get good bounce back potential. And honestly, KYLD is hard to argue. But we already have KYLD, a rather large position in it. So good stuff, Hope, man. I agree. Where was I just now? Okay. Oh gosh. Okay. Here, I found you. Why E-Trade margins at 12% for new investors? Next teams, because I negotiated my rates down. I negotiated them down twice, okay? They start you out at many brokers at around 10%, but you can negotiate them down. Many of my members have as well, okay? Many members, you can see testimonials on my website. When you text me, I send you the script to negotiate your rates down. But I have to prioritize, obviously, premium members buy my platinum e-guides, okay? And then we have members who have these badges by their names who value me so much more. And so I'm always getting to them first, and then I send it to my platinum members next. Justin, question, now that it's the end of the year, any thoughts on the timing of the next Cornerstone rights offering based on the last two, Justin? Yeah, I mean, when the premiums get higher, I think that's when we'll start worrying about it, the premiums, as we always say in volume 4, need to get closer to 30% before I start making a move. Always a good question, Justin. Always good to keep that top of mind. All right, volume 2 is gold. Love the info on how to recharge for entry and exit points. I like trading finance education in one volume. Yeah, the trading and finance, they're in that one set of e-guides, capital G. And volume 2, I agree. I think it's the most overlooked e-guide that I have. Thanks again for that, capital G. As you can see, those moving averages hold true almost every time, don't they? Daniel, ULTY will hold the NAV only if... I don't even look at the NAV. It's all about what will the underlying holdings do. Will they hold? We never know. So we just manage, we had salty with ULTY. We hedged everything up. I told you about the MSTU, MSTZ play today. So I just hedge everything up. We make lots of money on the upside over the years, lose minimal on the downside. Nutrition Buff, reading volume 2 now. Thank you, Nutrition Buff. Yeah. Let me know what you think of that. All right, I know you just got the guides not too long ago. No one can doubt a boss. Thank you, JJ. Thank you so much. ULTY was reborn. Past doesn't predict the future. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they switch their holdings, but they're always, going to switch holdings. That's nothing new. So, just make sure you watch the holdings, not the ETF wrapper. BG, all the Yieldmax haters who bought at the top and sold at the bottom are kicking themselves now. No, and you gave me $10 for that. Let me hit a like. Can I hit a like on that? I can't. I don't know how to respond to that. There's a heart. Thank you, BGT, for saying that. Thank you for the gesture. All right, I really appreciate the gesture. And yeah, I mean, now we're all here to celebrate it in this live. Okay, we stay disciplined. We follow the rules from the beginning. And now look at our account. It's back over to $1 million, well over $2 million, dividends over $1 million, and our performance is still beating all of the indexes. Okay, up 25% for the year because we follow the rules. All right, and that's thanks in part to my community because we hold each other accountable. All right, and then we follow all the rules. I've been doing this for so long. Hey Joe, there's your testimonial right there. One of your testimonials. Thank you, brother. So yeah, thank you again, BGT. So true. All right, we just got to stay disciplined, follow the rules. All right, Joe, reverse head and shoulder pattern forming on a daily chart of the indexes, looking bullish for the end of the year, maybe. I mean, hey, it could happen, Joe. Many analysts are aiming for like a 10 to 15% rally from here. That's what they were predicting. I don't know. I can't ever say, but we do know that just because charts are at the highs doesn't mean they pull back. We could make new highs, especially if Bitcoin gets going. And that could be what really, fuels the next rally if Bitcoin gets going, because then it's risk on sentiment, returns, and then all those high growth plays start to move again, those hyper growth plays in the NASDAQ. And obviously tech is a lot of the S&P, so that'll bring everything up with it, hopefully. And if not, we're ready either way, right, Joe? You know what I'm going to say. I just love my members so much, Thanks for being here, Joe. All right, as always. I mean, right when your testimonial showed up on the screen at the same time. Just really appreciate all your support, brother. All my members, you know what I mean? Why do I say it so much? Because you don't know how much hate I get. You would not believe the hate that I get. When these videos are over, they will start coming out in the comments saying this and that about the reverse split, saying this and that about how the erosion is just pathetic for these ULTY and MSTY Yieldmax funds. They know nothing about looking at the actual holdings. Man, and so I've been getting a lot of hate once again. Hey Jerry, welcome to the All Portfolio Trades. Welcome, Jerry. I hope you enjoy it. Go look at yesterday's video. You'll be all brought up to speed. Okay. If you have any questions, Jerry, please let me know. All right. Always here for you, Jerry. Thanks again. Welcome to the Fire family. All right. I don't know if you bought my e-guides already, Jerry, or not, but now you're in the real stuff. Okay. That's where, we get all of our real gains in those live videos. Yeah. One more week before Santa Rally. Who knows? Choppy until then. We'll see, Daniel. You wish Robinhood dripped at the NAV. Yeah, I know, JJ. Maybe they got close-end funds in. Maybe they'll do that next. We can hopefully make a push for it. Maybe we'll petition them from our Discord. All right. Yeah, that is a mistake. I agree, Daniel. The 70% maintenance. It could be just a glitch. We'll see. VT, in your opinion, is YMAX or CLM a riskier play? YMAX is, in my opinion, much riskier. It depends, though. If you get CLM at 40 to 50% premiums and you're holding strong, well, then you might come back and say CLM is riskier. To me, closed-end funds and their premiums, they are not risky. They're just telling you what's expensive and the market's expensive, and they're telling you when to sell and they're telling you when to buy when they announce their rights offerings, and that's how I really leveled up my account. All right, they're telegraphing to you when to buy and sell, whereas the market does not. All right, I made a comment about that not too long ago on Discord in our discussion, Cornerstone discussion channel. Check that out, everyone. How I'm looking at the premiums right this moment. Good question, VT. Maybe a reverse split was a negative factor. I don't think so, Daniel. Obviously it looked like it got Robinhood's attention, that reverse split. But for us, it wasn't. So hopefully it's just temporary. Yeah, JJ, YMAX is riskier. C's are index. Exactly. When you're near the lows, obviously C's are the less risky play. When you're at par value in the market, I would say C's are the less risky play. When C's are expensive or YMAX is expensive, both are risky. But I would say YMAX could even potentially be riskier, right, JJ? Because it has crazier holdings in it that are not indexed like the C's. Wayne, right? YMAX is riskier. Yep. Obviously, YMAX is riskier. I just want to say for the record, only when the C's premiums are super elevated do you need to potentially look at that as risky. But then the whole market would be risky by the same token because it is the indexes. And so is the market riskier than YMAX? No. But if the market's super high and you're all in, would that be riskier than YMAX? Potentially. But in all things equal, in a vacuum, YMAX is obviously riskier. JJ, this guy is a blessing. I don't want to work anymore. Thanks, JJ. Either way, when you work or don't work, if you work, you're just supercharging your account more and you get to keep your dividends, and then your bills are paid off by your W-2 income, whereas my bills have to be paid out of my E-Trade account. So that's why you have to focus on my percentage gains, because we're pulling so much money out of our account. All right, to still get this kind of growth, that's what's so amazing. And I just laid out for you in today's video how to do that, essentially. You're welcome, VT. Daniel, you have 30% of your portfolio in MSTY. Let's go. Wow, that's a lot, Daniel. That's a lot. See, I don't have that much. When I did have a lot, I had a lot of winter, and that's what saved me. But if we have a rally, then you're going to really kill it, Daniel. Hey, Breadman, what's up? Great to see you, Breadman. All right, I love seeing those members who they have that badge by their name, and I know we just had that Teams meeting, on Circle, and you asked some great questions, Breadman, and I just appreciate you being a part of it, Breadman. Great to see you, brother. Eve Cake, hello. Same to you, Eve, all right? Great seeing you, Eve. It's hard to not say more to each one of these members because y'all are like my family. This is no bullshit. All right? Y'all call me. I'm always here for you, right? And if y'all have questions on Circle or at Discord, whoever, I'm always here. All right. And that's why I love this YouTube community, because I'm not close with my family. You know, I'm only close with my dad and my mom. Jeremy, I think, and they're divorced, you know, so that's why it happened, I think. Jeremy, I think the MSTY, MSTU, MSTZ strategy is the best in terms of hypergrowth. Less dollar for dollar expenditure, especially pre-split and with margin. You're the man, Todd, as always, dropping gold nuggets. Thank you, Jeremy. Great to see you, Jeremy. Because we know there are multiple Jeremys, like I said. You too, Jeremy. I love you, brother. Amir, hey, great to see you, Amir. I remember yesterday you were mentioning how you negotiated your margin rates down to 8%. All right. Correct me if I'm wrong, Amir, but that's a fantastic job. Way to go. All right. I'm glad that script helped you. All right. Nutrition buff. All right. Hey again. Luis, been liking your e-guides. They help me with a lot better performance. Have to tweak the portfolio a bit because I can't be on a computer every day. That's right, Luis. You know, everyone can use the e-guides to tailor them to their needs, you know. So, you know, good job of that, Luis. I hope all's well. Call me if you have any questions, Luis. TP, lost about 5,000 on ULTY even after the dividends and dumped it, but kept YMAX and I'm down 6,000 on that now. Not sure what happened there, TP. I wouldn't have dumped it, because if I dumped ULTY, then I would have lost all my income, and that would have been a problem. I would have had to pay taxes on these dividends. It just would have been a huge problem for me to dump it. But I wouldn't have dumped it, you know, if ULTY was falling but the holdings were holding up, that's when you dump ULTY. But when the holdings in ULTY are falling, then you don't dump ULTY. You just, you know, dollar cost average into those holdings, you know. Lion Bro, how far out do you like selling puts? You know I like to go really far out, Lion Bro. Check out volume 6 for selling puts, or see yesterday's video, members only video. Right, you hedge your MSTY with winter. Good job, Daniel. You know, but don't get hurt on those winter hedges either. All right, I like to do the winter hedges at the top, not at the bottom. But it's a good thing that you're, you know, at least hedge some there. Ben, I'm interested in RGYY. It's cool that GraniteShares is doing some quantum-related funds. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely hyper-growth right there, Ben. You know, RGYY, I'm familiar with it, and I'm familiar with these quantum, you know, related plays. And quantum computing, it's really interesting. Frontier, and, you know, when those get more indexed, I'm going to focus more on those, Ben, if that makes sense. Richard, Granite's pretty good. I agree. Granite's been holding up well for us. That's how we kept our income high. It's one of the ways that we delevered into the indexes while keeping our leverage low, with our income high with YSPY and TQQY. GP, I understand. SI, you're welcome. Daniel, need the good debt. Right, that doesn't show up on a credit check. Lion Bro, thank you for everything you've been sharing. It's helped motivate me to take control of my financial future. I'm projected to replace my income within the next 2 years. Congrats, Lion Bro. Major Sam, hey, join late. Great to see you, Major. All right, so great to see you. Man, hope all's well. Hope everything's going well today with those clients. You've been very helpful for me in my life whenever TJ was sick. I'll just tell you that. Dan, hey Todd, ULTY's back to 30% margin requirement at Fidelity. All right. See, it was all temporary, and that's an even better hack that you have there. All right. Congrats to you, Dan. You are a lucky man. Yeah, Joe, Thomas is on fire. Great ideas today, Thomas. Great ideas yesterday, Joe. All right, and Frosty too. All right, thanks for bringing me UNHW. Joe, I remember you and Frosty were both talking about UNHW. Can't thank my members enough. All right, because we want to combine UNH with UNHW. Why not? We get income and growth, and UNH is still well off the highs, and it's still top 10 in the index. Rambler, E-Trade must have recently adjusted some of that maintenance for G shares. Used to be 100 for me. Good to know. You're welcome. Nutrition, the problem is I can't delete Discord until I can log in. I see. Okay. Keep me posted on that. If you need help, you know, at our admin there, Frosty, all right? Frosty, I know you've done so much for me, but maybe you can help, you know, just one more member here, Nutrition Buff, who's having issues getting in, but I think that's more of a Discord problem, it sounds like. Gear and Arms, thoughts on MSTW? Yeah, we just, you know, I use that to delever into the other vehicles I named in today's video because we got more bang for the buck that way. I could sell MSTW, go into half the amount of MSTU, for example, delever, and then still get the same bounce back potential. Justin, Todd will take calls, just don't call him on his vacation. Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I would really appreciate if you don't call on the vacation. You know, we'll be in Costa Rica later this month. Okay, we'll leave in a couple weeks. And again, I can't wait to share with y'all my findings there. And my members can always contact me there. Okay, text me if you can, of course. But of course, if you still need to call me, you know I'm here for y'all, right? I was here for y'all in New York and in Vegas when we did those trips. Even in Europe, okay, I was still there for my members, even with long distance calls. I don't care. All right, because at the end of the day, if we all do well in the market and we all get ahead together, then all these little expenses and all that with hedging or whatever the thing, you know, the cost may be, you know, maybe a long distance phone call, it's all going to just shake out in the end, because we're going to make more money than we ever dreamed of in these index dividend plays, especially if we use a little bit of margin. All right, so it's been an hour and 15 minutes. Let's go ahead and stop it there. A great session. We got some great ideas in about Bitcoin. All right, if you need help outperforming the markets, email me for my e-guides at akintosh48@gmail.com, or head to my website, Unconventional Wealth Ideas. All right, you can see all about my e-guides here, okay? And obviously, you know, even if you're not living, if you don't want to live free from 9 to 5 and you want to stay in your job, I advocate that as well. This is like a second job for me too, YouTube. It's become, because I love it so much. And just use that to supercharge your account, okay, and get even better performance gains, okay? Applying what we've learned, you know, everything that I've learned in the market over the last 20 years, applying that, you know, I put that all into the e-guides. All right, so nothing changed. We're up 25%. Our income is still over $1 million, even with the ULTY reverse split. Nothing changed. I think we're all feeling pretty vindicated about that. And now we've just given more ideas for capitalizing on a Bitcoin recovery and a hypergrowth recovery, while doing it safely, okay, without getting burned like everyone else did. See the past video, see today's video if you missed all that and you're just now joining. All right, I love y'all. If you like this video, please click like or subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon, everyone. Thanks.